Hello, welcome to our last topic of the course of Sustainable Living and Environmental Studies. Throughout the four modules, we have studied about different problems that are there with the environment, different reasons why humans' activity plays an important role, different things that we can do as citizens to play our better role in saving the environment. In this topic, we shall be dealing with citizen engagement, the role of NGOs, the role of communities, the role initiatives of youth. But before I do that, I'd like to give you a few examples of real time examples where citizens, apart from the big movements that we studied in our previous topic, the Narmada Bachao Andolan, the Chipko movement, the Bishnoi movement, the Silent Valley in Kerala movement, there are things that are being done at individual levels, at smaller levels, which we need to know. The beaches in Mumbai. We know the beaches in Mumbai used to be at one time big attraction, but those beaches now are very bad in their shape. They are so polluted. The tourists that go over there, they destroy it by throwing garbage here and there, by polluting the environment, by polluting the soil, by throwing plastics into the water. So there was a Verzova beach cleanup drive. The Versova beach cleanup drive. I think we need to change the color of the pen. Just a second. And write the white. No. Let's try with red. Yeah. The Versova beach cleanliness drive. Now in this drive, it was a drive which was led by an environmentalist and a lawyer by the name Advocate Afroz Shah. What was done was that over a span of 2 to 3 years, the citizens had joined hands with Mr. Afroz Shah and they cleaned almost 20 million kg of garbage from the Verzova beach just in a span of roughly 2 to 3 years. So many people gathered with a single man who first single-handedly started cleaning the beach, but then so many people joined hands with him, and within 2 to 3 years they removed almost 20 million kg of garbage from the Verzova beach. And this Verzova beach, which was choking with plastic waste, is now breathing life again. And we now see olive ridley turtles that are back on this beach. That is the impact of citizen engagement with the environment. This one little case study is where we can see how citizen engagement can restore the environment. The olive ridley turtle, which had not seen the light of this beach in years because of it being badly consumed with plastic waste, was seen again after 20 years. Another example, another very famous example, which many of you might be aware of because so many Bollywood actors were involved in it, the RA forest movement. Again in Mumbai. It was roughly in the year of 2019, 2020. So the local residents, the students, many Bollywood actors, many environmentalists protested against the felling of almost 2,000 trees in RA forest for a metro shed. So a metro shed was being proposed for a particular area for which almost 2000 trees had to be cut. But these people protested, and what was the result? The result was that the Maharashtra government then declared RA forest as a reserved forest in 2020. So from the Ridley turtles returning back to the beach, to the governments listening to these voices and declaring RA forest as reserved forest and relocating the metro shed to another place, is how the voices of citizens, the concern of the citizens affects policy making, affects cutting down environmental loss. Another very famous example that you all must be aware of is Fridays for Future. Fridays for Future is an initiative or a movement by a small girl, Greta Thunberg. She's a Sweden girl. Who on one Friday sat outside the parliament, the Swedish parliament, protesting against climate change. That is a little girl who was then 15 years old, understood that climate change is real, environment is suffering, and we need to raise a voice. And today, we know her because her voice went as high to the United Nations. Her speech, "How dare you," was echoing in every household. This little girl and her movement of Fridays for Future and her involvement in Sustainable Development Goals agenda is how citizen engagement, youth action matters. All these examples are leading to one and only one thing, that you need to raise your voice. You need to be engaged with saving the environment. You need to come with the communities and make initiatives so that your voice is heard, the nature is restored, and better policy making is done. Citizen engagement. Let's now come to the topic of what is citizen engagement. Citizen engagement, the role of NGOs, the role of community initiatives, and the youth action. The NGOs that support environmental protection aim at dealing with various difficulties the earth faces in these times. Now, these NGOs have to deal with everything that the earth is facing, everything that we have been studying in our previous modules, relating from climate change to different types of pollution to the loss of biodiversity and everything that has been wrong with the environment. Some of these organizations operate alone without any government support, but associate themselves with communities, industries, and other actors and try to find a long-lasting solution. And what's the main purpose of the NGOs? Creating public sensitization. And how? The role of an NGO basically, apart from on its own going out there and doing action, could also be raising public sensitization towards environment problems. Through advocacy and policy influence, they can tell people why something is important. They can help bring people together and influence policy making. Advocacy and policy influence was seen in the RA forest example that I gave you. It influenced the policy making. The governments declared RA forest as a reserved forest. The metro shed that was earlier going to be made, instead of those 2000 trees were being cut, was replaced to another location. Secondly, by awareness creation and education. This course is also an awareness creation and education to involve your engagement tomorrow, to make you sensitive towards the environment problems. Community based environment initiatives. Community based environment initiatives like the cleanliness drive at the Warsaw beach that we saw. The communities need to come together, the people need to come together and take initiatives. It could be as simple as a cleanliness drive. Many schools do that. They take their students to cleanliness drive initiatives, tree planting initiatives. So, similarly, such community based environmental initiatives are very important. Empowering communities through sustainable practices. Some people are not very aware. Now, as good citizens, citizens for the environment, now that you know through this course what sustainable methods can be adopted, what a little change can help make this environment a better place, it is you who will now become a medium to empower the communities further, to share this awareness further, to tell them about sustainable practices, to tell them about how something is being affected, to tell them about why they should do something and how they should do something. And lastly, natural disaster relief and environment reconstruction. We studied this in our resources depletion chapter that things have now come at a place where we need to adapt to certain what we read as adaptation strategies and environmental reconstruction. So this has to be also taught to people because certain disasters today will take place. So we need to be aware about the relief systems and how to reconstruct the environment after that. This is the role of these NGOs who have that knowledge available to them. Their role is basically to sensitize the public towards environment problems. They should be advocating it, they should be influencing policy making, they should be creating awareness programs, and people like you and I, people who know what to do now, people who know how things should be done, should empower the communities further. Children and young people, I believe, are often ignored because the elders, with all due respect, sometimes think that children cannot be heard. How would they know? But one big example that can come over here is that of someone I just mentioned before, Greta Thunberg. She was only 15 years old. She was as little as a school going kid of 15 years old. And look at her voice. It went to the United Nations. The creativity, the awareness, the impact that their voices can have is very huge. So the voices of young people like you should not be ignored because you today have the advantage of being creative. You today have the advantage of knowing the digital skills. You have so much social media presence. You're so interconnected to people sitting in other countries that your awareness programs can reach out to masses beyond the local limitations. So, the awareness of environmental challenges that you can spread awareness about can be a powerful agent of change. So, we should, as good citizens, vouch for a greener future. We should be climate actors doing our best action in global climate, environmental and disaster risk reduction response, education. Sometimes, when someone who's a good influencer on Instagram, I have many few friends who are influencers and they have a lot of following. They ask me that what would you want to post on your birthday, which story would you like me to share. I just tell them that this is not going to help me or make me happy. All you can do is share awareness, share a story of let's plant a tree together if that's something you can do for me and for the environment. I tell them that you can plant a tree for me on my birthday. You can feed a few hungry people on my birthday, and you can tell five other people to commit to the cause again. So, people like you and I who have got the platform to reach out, the resources available to do things, must be powerful agents of change. We could be frontline workers in disaster management. We should be bridging the gap between our knowledge and our action. We should be passionately driven towards the cause of environment and the cause of significant changes in policy, society, and technology. We are so well versed with digital world. We are so well educated in technology. We must put that to the best use that we can. Before I end this module again, and before we conclude this course, let me just quickly tell you that your engagement, your role will have a big impact. If you sitting on your bed and using your phone can leave a carbon footprint and have an impact, then imagine you doing something better. You going out with your friends for a walk and doing a little cleanliness drive in your locality is also going to have a big impact. You could be the voice like Greta Thunberg. You could be the reason something that is at an endangered level come back to its natural habitat, like happened in the Wasova beach. You could be the reason a tree is not cut. You could be a reason 10 more trees are being planted. So, youth must be the biggest actors championing the cause of environment protection, championing awareness campaigns, taking your best foot forward, your green best foot forward to save the environment. Because let's be very clear, throughout this module, throughout this course, we have seen that there's so much that can be done. There's so much that should not be done. Let's be good citizens and engage in that way. Thank you.